Alright, hello everyone, it's Ty Interpreting Weather here, back with a brand new video, and today we're just going to talk about that final update for Winter Storm Izzy, and then we're going to move on to talk about a potential major Miller A nor'easter. So, let's get right into it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We are here with the Euro model first, because the Euro model has been hinting at something big to come. So let's get started with that first. So Euro model, we have our low pressure system here. By this point, the low pressure system is probably here by now at this current moment, because the Euro model is a little bit behind. But here we have that heavy bands of snow setting right in toward Mississippi, all the way down to that freezing rain in North Carolina, reaching Raleigh. But that freezing rain does intensify a lot, actually, and could become very damaging. But other than that, the low pressure system will move up, causing some very heavy snow to move on to the northeast. So we do have severe weather actually down here, a huge band actually. Actually, by this point, there have been some tornado warnings down here in South Tampa, Florida. So that is something that to be aware of if you live down there. But other than that, this is the low pressure system. It's gonna bring down lots of pockets of heavy snowfall for the northern regions, very northern regions. East Coast not gonna get as much, but that just closes out by Tuesday. I think it's like Tuesday afternoon. But here we go. We do have this cold front in place, and this low pressure system matches perfectly with this cold front, moving right down, allowing it for, you know what, because of some Gulf moisture, you already know what's going to happen. A low pressure system forms, could get some snow in Atlanta, actually, in a lot of regions. But as we know what low pressure systems do when we have this type of pattern going right toward the northeast. Yep, you guessed it right. We have a nor'easter on our hands probably by the end of this week. By Friday towards Saturday, this is what could be a possibility, bringing some extremely heavy snowfall. Everywhere in the northeast is seeing snowfall. Nowhere I could see except Long Island could be a mix. So basically everyone's seeing snowfall here. This would be a dream scenario, and it does intensify even more, wreaking havoc for the northeast once again. But as we move forward, there isn't anything really special other than this weird clipper system down all the way in the south. That's kind of weird. But other than that, we just have lots of cold air in place because the Euro model doesn't go that far. It only goes down to probably the end of January. But other than that, let's look at the GFS, because I don't think it's more intense, but we're just going to take a quick look at it right now. Alright everyone, this is the GFS model, and it is up to date right now. We do have some of that freezing rain mixed with precipitation, and also some heavy snowfall going on. But move forward in time, that does intensify. It's more like a sloppy mess everywhere. But it does intensify to a major winter storm as it gets up toward to the east or the northeast. The Great Lakes getting some of that really heavy snow there. But other than that, it closes out. There's some decent snowfall in some areas. But talking about that major upcoming nor'easter that the Euro model is predicting, I don't think the GFS has anything special about it. Just look at that. It's just a cold front. It doesn't develop into anything. It just moves offshore with this major Arctic blast here. So the GFS isn't really seeing anything. There is this system that could bring a little bit of snowfall to the East Coast, but the Euro and the GFS are completely different on here. So it's only a matter of time before you know what's going to happen. So, and it's literally just next week, so any possibility can happen at this point. And we also just get a clipper system moving by to the northeast, that's all. But other than that, there's nothing really special going on for the East Coast. It's just very empty for the rest of January and early February. But I agree mostly on the Euro model, only because it's a little bit more closer range, so it has a better idea what's going to happen. GFS is farther range, if you count that, so that is something just to watch, because I'm not making an official forecast, obviously, because it's way too far out. But once we get a better idea if it does happen, then we'll know for sure that it will be a snowstorm or a nor'easter. So, speaking of which, let's move on to the total snowfall accumulations that you could be expecting. So, let's get right into that. Alright, everyone, this is the Euro model for the total snowfall accumulations here. This is totally right now, but I heard Charlotte, North Carolina may have gotten more than that already. This is a little bit later in time, but we do have a good area of a few inches of snow down the southeast. This storm will progress forward, bringing a lot of heavy snow down in a lot of places, actually. Great Lakes getting in on a lot of snow, probably a foot to 2 feet. Also, over here in around the Appalachian Mountains, down the Connecticut River, there's a pretty hefty amount of snow there if you gotta ask me. So that is about a foot right there. Anywhere in the red is basically a foot. Purple around half a foot to probably a foot. But that's basically it. East Coast is gonna see barely anything unless you go very northwest, I guess. But here we go. That will be it for the Euro model for Winter Storm Izzy. But we gotta show you something even better though about that potential nor'easter that the Euro has been hinting on. So that's the first storm. You might have a clippers here and there around in the northeast, bringing a little bit of snowfall. But here we go. Here is the storm. Just wow, look at that. That is just a lot of snowfall. This would be an intense place. This would be around a foot in a lot of places. Even in Charlotte, North Carolina, there could be a foot. All the way in Atlanta could be a foot. Any major city could be a foot. Washington, D.C., Richmond, Virginia, Philadelphia, New York City, Hartford, Connecticut, New Haven, Concord, Montpelier, Bangor, Augusta, Boston, Providence. Basically anywhere. So, and I think Dover is in there too. Yeah, Dover, Delaware. That is a lot of places you could be seeing around a foot there. Even this tiny little region right here in the Adirondacks in Massachusetts. I was about to say Mexico. I don't know what I was talking about, but I meant to say Massachusetts. That is a little bit of a more 2 feet range, but that's basically it for the Euro model. But let's check the GFS. I don't think the GFS has a lot of snowfall going on, so let's move on to that. Okay, everyone, this is the GFS model, and something different than the Euro model on the GFS is definitely that there's more snowfall on the ground than the Euro model said. But most of it is pretty much in the Appalachian Mountains and these little pocket regions between Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. But as we move forward in time, it does accumulate even more and makes it up to the northeast, putting down a lot of snowfall for the Appalachian Mountains, especially. You can see that pretty well defined line right there. And also for the Great Lakes, too, the very eastern part, dumping a lot of snow there. But that will be the end of Winter Storm Izzy as it exits out. But here's the thing. We do have that same clipper system bringing a few inches of snowfall to mostly the northern regions. But here's the thing. When we come to that cold front, nothing. The GFS has absolutely nothing. Except for very, very little snowfall on the coaster here. You remember the Euro model? The Euro model is just putting a huge swath of pretty much a lot of snowfall down from North Carolina all the way up to Maine. All snowfall, classic Miller A nor'easter. But the GFS is completely different. It just makes it a tiny clipper system for Virginia and North Carolina. It's barely going to put any snowfall in these regions, so that's not looking good. That's major disagreement right here. But other than that, we will still be watching this as it progresses toward the end of this week. But other than that, let's just move on to our weather fact of the day and end this. Alright, everyone, this is your weather fact of the day. It is sometimes snowballs form themselves. Interesting. Something strange happened earlier this year in northwest Siberia. Mysterious giant snowballs began washing up on a beach along the Gulf of Ob. It turns out the ice orbs were formed naturally by the rolling motions of wind and water. with some spheres reaching nearly 3 feet in width. You wouldn't want to use this frozen ammunition in a snowball fight. Wow, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know snowballs could form themselves, but well, that's very, very interesting and very unique. But other than that, I just want to say goodbye, everyone, and this will be Ty Interpreting Weather out.